Jai Hind children. In the previous video, we have seen that the introduction of the chapter life processes and the introduction and the definition for nutrition, respiration, transportation and excretion also we have seen in that video. Now we can move on to one of the life processes, and it is the most important life processes, that is nutrition. And what is nutrition? Which are the types of nutrition, and what is autotrophic nutrition, and the points related to photosynthesis. All these we are going to discuss now. Now we can start our new topic, nutrition. One of the most important life process, nutrition. So from the lower class itself, you know that why we are taking food. Because we need energy for various activities, isn't it? So even though we are not doing any activities, we need energy because some of the metabolic processes that are taken place inside our body. So we need energy. From where we are getting energy? The food we are eating, from there we are getting energy. We need materials from outside the body. For what purpose? For growth, for the development, and for the synthesis of protein and other substances. From where we are getting these raw materials? We are getting these materials for the process for producing energy is from the food that we eat. So this food is essential for all living organisms. So food is essential for all living organisms. And which are the components of food? The components of food, you studied in the 7th standard also, that they are the carbohydrate, then protein, then fat and vitamins. So these are the components of food, carbohydrate, protein, fat and vitamins. So these all are essential for our body in order to release energy. And these components, these carbohydrate, protein, fat and vitamins, and they are called the nutrients. So what are nutrients? Carbohydrate, protein, fat and vitamins, which are essential for our life, and these are called nutrients. Now we can study about what is nutrition. So the components which are essential for our body is called nutrients. Then what is nutrition? It is the mode of taking food by an organism and its utilization by the body. So what is nutrition? Once again, it is the mode of taking food by an organism and its utilization by the body. Or we can study another definition for this nutrition, that is, nutrition is the process by which the organism ingests, digests, then absorbs, then transports and utilizes nutrients and dispose of their end products is also called what? Nutrition. You can study both the definitions and you can write which one is easy for you, that you can write. Okay, so these are the definition for nutrition. Next is the type of nutrition. So once again, what is nutrition? It is the mode of taking food by an organism and its utilization by the body. Another definition is, it is the process by which the organism ingests, digests, absorbs, transports and utilizes nutrients and dispose of their end products. Next is the type of nutrition. That also you have studied. There are mainly two types of nutrition. They are the autotrophic mode of nutrition and heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So types of nutrition. One is autotrophic mode of nutrition and another one is heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Then in autotrophic mode of nutrition, organisms prepare their own food. They prepare their own food from simple substances. From simple substances such as carbon dioxide and water. In autotrophic mode of nutrition, it is the mode of nutrition in which organisms make food themselves from simple substances. Such a mode of nutrition is called autotrophic mode of nutrition. Examples for such organisms. Examples are all green plants and certain bacteria. Examples for those organisms which shows this type of nutrition. All green plants and certain bacteria. And those organisms which shows this mode of nutrition, they are called as autotrophs. Okay, they are called autotrophs. The next is heterotrophic mode of nutrition. What is heterotrophic mode of nutrition? Some organisms, they utilize the complex substances as their food. They utilize complex substances as their food and break down these food materials into simple substances. Such organisms are called heterotrophs, and that mode of nutrition is called heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Once again, which are the two types of nutrition? Mainly, nutrition is classified into autotrophic mode of nutrition and heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Autotrophic mode of nutrition, in which organisms prepare their own food material from simple inorganic substances, and such organisms are called autotrophs. Examples for autotrophs are all green plants and certain bacteria. Then what is heterotrophic mode of nutrition? Some organisms, they utilize the complex substances as their food, and that food materials are break down to produce simple substances. Such a mode of nutrition is called heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Examples, all animals and fungi. Example for heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Next question is, how do living things get their food? So, living things include plants, animals and microorganisms. How do these living things get their food? There are different ways. Different ways of nutrition. So that means different organisms use different ways to fulfill their energy needs. And some organisms, they use simple inorganic materials. And produce from that inorganic materials, they produce their food. The inorganic materials are carbon dioxide, then water, etc. They are the inorganic materials. So, some organisms utilize simple inorganic materials and they prepare complex food. These inorganic materials are carbon dioxide and water. We earlier studied that these organisms are called autotrophs. But some other organisms, they utilize the complex food material. They utilize complex material and break down into simple food materials. They break down into simple materials. And they are called heterotrophs. And for this breakdown process, organisms utilize some biocatalyst. They utilize some biocatalyst. And that biocatalysts are called enzymes. So there is a question. What do you mean by enzymes? Enzymes are biological catalyst. Enzymes are biological catalyst or biocatalyst that increase the reaction or they speed up the chemical reaction. So enzymes are, what are enzymes? These are biocatalysts that increases or speed up the chemical reactions. For example, you can study in case of heterotrophic nutrition, an example is salivary amylase. Salivary amylase is an enzyme that convert the starch into sugar, or it break down the starch into sugar. That salivary amylase is present in our saliva, and that salivary amylase is an enzyme that help the conversion of starch into sugar, is an example for an enzyme. So what are biocatalysts? What are enzymes? These are biological catalysts or biocatalysts that increases the chemical reactions or they speed up the chemical reactions. Example, salivary amylase present in saliva that convert starch into sugar. Thus, we can say that heterotrophs, they either directly or indirectly depend on whom? They either directly or indirectly depends on autotrophs. Now we can study the detailed processes involved in the autotrophic mode of nutrition. So autotrophic nutrition is the mode of nutrition in which organisms make food themselves from simple substances. And these simple inorganic substances are carbon dioxide and water. Then autotrophs are doing this process by another phenomenon called photosynthesis. Then what is photosynthesis? It is the process of synthesis of carbohydrates. Synthesis of what? Synthesis of carbohydrate with the help of carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight in chlorophyll of the leaves are called what? Photosynthesis. So once again, what is photosynthesis? It is the process of synthesis of carbohydrate with the help of carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight in chlorophyll of the leaves. And you have to study this equation also. It's a very important chemical equation. 6CO2, that means 6 carbon dioxide plus 12 H2O, 12 water molecules gives rise to what? C6H12O6. What is this? This one is the glucose, or we are saying as carbohydrate, glucose, plus which are the byproducts? 6 oxygen molecule plus again 6 water molecules. So which are the products of photosynthesis? Glucose, oxygen and water molecule. And which is the main product of photosynthesis? This glucose is the main product of, or carbohydrate is the main product of photosynthesis. Which are the byproducts of photosynthesis? This oxygen and this water molecules are the byproducts of photosynthesis. Byproducts. So which are the raw materials of photosynthesis? Carbon dioxide, water, chlorophyll and sunlight. These are the raw materials of photosynthesis. So these all are very important questions. Which are the raw materials of photosynthesis? Carbon dioxide, water, chlorophyll and sunlight are the raw materials of photosynthesis. Which is the main product of photosynthesis? Carbohydrate or glucose is the main product of photosynthesis. Which are the byproducts of photosynthesis? Oxygen and water molecules are the byproducts of photosynthesis. Before going to the detailed process of photosynthesis, first we need to study about structure of a leaf. A typical leaf consists of a leaf lamina. This region, that green colored region is the leaf lamina, or we can say as leaf blade also, leaf lamina. And in the mid region you can see that there is a midrib or a main vein. This region is the midrib or main vein. And from this main vein you can see that large number of small other veins are present. smaller veins. From this midrib region, numerous smaller veins are also arising. Veins. And in this midrib region, suppose if we are cutting from this region, this region, we can see that there is upper surface consists of phloem tissue, and in the lower surface there is xylem tissue. These together constitute vascular bundle. So once again, a typical leaf consists of a leaf lamina or leaf blade, that is the green colored parts we are seeing, that is the leaf lamina or leaf blade, then a midrib region, and from the midrib region, or that is called a main vein, midrib or main vein, from that midrib numerous smaller veins are arising. In the midrib region, you can see that here in the midrib region, the upper surface consists of a tissue called phloem, and the lower part consists of xylem tissue. Then what is the function of this phloem tissue? Phloem tissue help in the transportation of food materials. Phloem tissues help in the transportation of food materials. Whereas xylem tissue help in the transportation of water and minerals. And these xylem and phloem tissues together we can say as what? Vascular bundles. Then this leaf, it consists of large surface area. So what is the purpose of that large surface area? In order to absorb maximum sunlight. So why this leaf has large surface area? In order to absorb maximum sunlight. And that is about the structure of a typical leaf. And one more point is there. This leaf consists of both in upper surface and lower surfaces. There are many stomata are present. Especially in the upper surface, numerous stomata are present. Stomata. Okay. So that's about the structure of a leaf. Once again, leaf consists of leaf lamina. There is a midrib or main vein. From the midrib or main vein, numerous smaller veins are also arising. These are helping the transportation of this water and food material towards the leaf. And in the midrib region, there is xylem and phloem tissues are present. These xylem and phloem tissues together known as vascular bundles. And phloem tissue, what is the function of phloem tissue? Transportation of food material. And what is the function of xylem tissue? Transportation of water and minerals. And another point related to this leaf, structure of leaf is upper surface and the lower surface consists of numerous stomata. And why this leaf has a larger surface area? In order to absorb maximum sunlight. Next is cross section of leaf. Here, when we cut the leaf, and we can see that different structures inside it. There are upper and there is a lower epidermis. Upper epidermis and lower epidermis. And in the upper epidermis, you can see that there is a waxy coating on its surface. There is a waxy coating. Waxy cuticle is present. Waxy cuticle is present in the upper epidermis. So here it is the upper epidermis. And upper epidermis, it is covered with a waxy cuticle is present. And here you can see that numerous rectangle shaped cells with nucleus and vacuole. And there is a lower epidermis. In the lower epidermis, you can see here and there small openings. These are the stomatal openings. Stomatal pores you can see here and there in the lower epidermis. So where we can see stomatal pores more? In the lower epidermis. and below the below this stomatal pore, you can see that air spaces are there. Air spaces. And here you can, in between the upper epidermis and lower epidermis, numerous elongated and somewhat oval shaped cells are present. These all are parenchymatous cells, and these cells are together known as mesophyll cells. These cells together known as mesophyll cells or mesophyll tissue. And mesophyll tissue consists of spongy parenchyma and palisade parenchyma. Its name. So, palisade parenchyma, and this one is the spongy parenchyma. These together constitute mesophyll tissue. So, once again, in the in the cross section of leaf, we can see that there is an upper epidermis and a lower epidermis. In the upper epidermis, there is an outer waxy cuticle is present. In the lower epidermis, numerous openings you can see, they are called stomatal pores, and below the stomatal pores, air spaces are present, because you know that through the stomata, plants are taking gases, isn't it? So that air spaces are present in between these spongy parenchyma, and in the spongy parenchyma and also in the palisade parenchyma, you can see that numerous another dotted structures. These are the chlorophyll. What is the purpose of chlorophyll? In order to absorb sunlight for photosynthesis. These chlorophyll are present where? These are important cell organelle. Chlorophyll are present in an important cell organelle called chloroplast. So, inside the chloroplast, a green pigment is present, that is called chlorophyll. And this chlorophyll is present where? Both in this mesophyll cells, that is in palisade parenchyma and also in the spongy parenchyma. This palisade parenchyma and spongy parenchyma together constitute mesophyll tissue. That is the structure of a, cross section of a leaf. Then, now we can study the details of photosynthesis. Then, which are the events occur during photosynthesis? Mainly, 3 events are there. The first step is absorption of light energy by chlorophyll. So, you know that chlorophyll, they are present in the chloroplast. They absorb light energy. That is the first step or first event in photosynthesis. Absorption of light energy by chlorophyll. That is the first step. Then second step is the conversion of this light energy to chemical energy. What is the second step? The conversion of these light energy to chemical energy. And another important step is also here, splitting of water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen. Splitting of water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen, that is the second event in photosynthesis. And the third event in photosynthesis is reduction of this carbon dioxide to carbohydrate. These are the 3 events occur during photosynthesis, and study the same in the same order. So, what is the first step? Absorption of light energy by chlorophyll. And the second step is the conversion of that light energy into chemical energy. At the same time, splitting of water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen. And what is the third event, or what is the third step in photosynthesis? Reduction of this carbon dioxide to carbohydrate. But these 3 steps are need not to take place one after the other immediately. These 3 steps need not to take place one after the other immediately. For example, in desert plants, you know that their stomata are closed during daytime. Why? Because in order to avoid the transpiration, excess amount, otherwise if the stomatas are open, then more amount of water or excess transpiration will occur. So that in desert plants, the stomata will close during daytime and that stomatas will open only during night. You know that if stomata will open, no, then only they can take carbon dioxide through that. So in desert plants, they take up carbon dioxide during the night time. During the night time, that is when stomata is opened in desert plants during night time. So that at that time they take this carbon dioxide and prepare an intermediate and this intermediate, when this will act upon this chlorophyll, this intermediate is acted upon by the energy absorbed by the chlorophyll during the daytime. This will act upon the chlorophyll during the daytime. That is in 2 times. The photosynthesis will complete in desert plants in 2 times. That is, carbon dioxide is absorbed during night time and they prepare an intermediate. Then this intermediate will act upon this chlorophyll when? During the daytime only. So that is, I explained first, no, these steps need not to take place one after the another immediately. For example, in desert plants, these steps takes place at 2 times, at 2 different times. So in desert plants, carbon dioxide are absorbed during night time. Why? Because their stomata will open during night time only and they prepare an intermediate, and this intermediate act upon this energy stored by the chlorophyll during daytime and they synthesize carbohydrate. So these are the events in photosynthesis and the photosynthesis in desert plants. Then these carbohydrates are stored in plants. In which form? Stored in plants in the form of starch. Plants, they utilize some of the energy as that is carbohydrate, and some energy is stored in the, or carbohydrate is stored in the form of starch. But in animals, they utilize food material and some food materials they stored in the form of glycogen. So study this one are very important 1 mark question. In plants, food materials are stored in the form of starch, and in animals, this food material is stored in the form of glycogen. So which are the essential elements of photosynthesis or raw materials for photosynthesis? They are the carbon dioxide, then water and sunlight and chlorophyll. These are the essential materials for photosynthesis or raw materials for photosynthesis. Then one by one we can study how this carbon dioxide is absorbed by the plants. In which way? This carbon dioxide is absorbed by the plants through stomata. So I already told that these stomatas are present where? Stomatas are present on the surface of the leaves. So both in upper surface and lower surface stomata is present, but in the lower surface more number of stomatas are present than the upper surface. Upper surface less number of stomatas are present. So anyhow, what are stomata? These are tiny pores present on the surface of the leaves. Tiny pores present on the surface of the leaves. These are tiny pores present on the surface of the leaves. And what is the function of this stomata? There are mainly 2 functions are there. The one is the exchange of gases, helping the exchange of gases in plants. And another function is for transpiration. These are the functions of stomata. So exchange of gases means through the stomata, plants are taking carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, and after photosynthesis, its byproduct is the oxygen. That oxygen is releasing through the same stomata. So that is the exchange of gases, taking carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, and after photosynthesis they are releasing oxygen also through the stomata. Then another process is transpiration. What is transpiration? It is the process of releasing of water, excess water from the plants in the form of water vapor through the stomata is known as transpiration. So for these two purposes stomata is using. Then what is the structure of a stomata? A single stomata consists of a small opening, and this opening is covered with two bean-shaped or kidney-shaped structures. And these two kidney-shaped structures are called God cells. God cells. And this tiny opening is called stomatal opening, or we can say stomatal pore. And in this God cells, you can see that peripheral side there are numerous dotted structures. These dotted structures are chlorophyll. These are chlorophyll. And in the God cells, you can also see that an elongated another spherical structure, and that is the nucleus. That is the nucleus of the God cell. And surrounding these God cells, numerous other cells you can see, and that is they are known as subsidiary cells. These are the subsidiary cells. Subsidiary cells. So that is the structure of a stomata. So a stomatal pore is there. That is the opening of the stomata. Surrounding this opening, there are two God cells are present. And in the God cells, you can see that numerous small dotted structures, they are the chlorophyll. And in the surrounding these God cells, numerous subsidiary cells are also present. And in this God cell, you can see that the inner surface is highly thickened. The inner wall of the these God cells are highly thickened, whereas the outer wall is thin and elastic in nature. So the inner wall is highly thickened, but the outer wall is thin and elastic in nature. And how these plants are getting carbon dioxide and oxygen? Because of the opening and the closing of the stomata. Then which cells are helping for this opening and closing of stomata? These God cells are responsible for the opening and closing of stomata. When these God cells are filled with water because of the endosmosis. In 9th standard you studied about endosmosis, that is when water molecules enter inside the God cells, these God cells become swell. At that time, the stomatal pore will open. When endosmosis occur. When endosmosis occur, the stomata will open. That is because the God cells will swell, so that the stomata will open. Whereas when exosmosis occur, then stomata will shrink. At that time, the stomata will close. So because of the movement of water molecules inside and outside the God cells, that make the stomata open and closed. So that means once again, when water molecules enter inside the God cells, because of the process called endosmosis, the God cells become swell and the stomata will open. When these God cells release their water, the stomata will shrink. God cells will shrink and the stomata close. So who is responsible for the opening and closing of this stomata? This guard cell responsible for the opening and closing of stomata. So which are the essential material for photosynthesis or raw materials for photosynthesis? Carbon dioxide, water, sunlight and chlorophyll. So carbon dioxide is absorbed through their stomata. Then water. From where water is absorbed? Water is absorbed from the soil by the roots. Water is absorbed from the soil by the roots. And other minerals are there. Other materials are also present in the soil, such as nitrogen, phosphorus, iron and magnesium is also needed for photosynthesis. These nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, magnesium etc. are also absorbed along with the water molecules from the soil. Then in these materials, nitrogen is an important one. So why it is very important? Because this nitrogen is an essential element for the synthesis of proteins and other compounds in plant body. So this nitrogen is very essential element. Why? Because it is needed for the synthesis of proteins and other compounds in plant body. Then this nitrogen is, you know that plants cannot absorb this nitrogen directly from the atmosphere. Then how they are taking this nitrogen? This nitrogen is taken up by in two ways. In inorganic form such as nitrite and nitrate, either in the form of inorganic compounds such as nitrites and nitrates, or in the form of organic compounds prepared by the bacteria from atmospheric nitrogen. So by these two ways, nitrogen is taken up by the plants. So once again, water is absorbed from the soil by the roots. Along with the water molecules, the other materials such as nitrogen, phosphorus, iron and magnesium are also absorbed by the plants from the soil through their roots. Of these materials, nitrogen is an essential material. Why? This nitrogen is an essential element because that needed for the plant to synthesize proteins and other compounds. And this nitrogen is taken up by the plants in two ways. The one way is either in the form of inorganic nitrites or nitrate, or in the form of organic compounds. That organic compounds are prepared by bacteria from atmospheric nitrogen during nitrogen fixation. Then another element needed for photosynthesis is the sunlight. Then how can you prove that sunlight is essential for photosynthesis? For that there is an activity. Take a healthy green potted plant and it is placed in a dark room for 1 to 2 days. Then both the side of a green leaf, take a leaf from that, and both the side of a green leaf is covered with 2 uniform pieces of black paper like this. This green leaf, no, and cover the one of the area with this black paper. And now you can see that the covered part, black paper is covered with the middle region and other regions are not covered, like that. Keep the leaf in a potted plant. Both the side of a green leaf is covered with 2 uniform pieces of black paper. Now the plant is exposed to bright light. So before that, here is a question. Why this green potted plant is placed in dark room for 1 to 2 days? In order to ensure that the plant do not contain starch. For de-starching. For that we are placing this plant in a dark room for 1 to 2 days for de-starching. That's an 1 mark question there. Then both sides of the green plant, now it is covered with a uniform sheet of black paper. Then now the plant is exposed to bright light. So what happened then? If a plant are getting bright light, they will photosynthesize. Then after few hours, the leaf is removed and is decolorized with the alcohol. When we dip this same leaf in the alcohol solution, then that green color will remove from that areas. Then now again put the same leaf in iodine solution for the starch test. You know that is for the testing the starch. iodine solution is the suitable solution for testing of this starch. Now put the same leaf inside iodine solution. So what we can see? So from this experiment, what we can observe, here the observations are, the covered portion of the leaf does not show any presence of starch, and the uncovered portion of the leaf give blue-black color when it tested with the iodine solution. So that why that shows a blue-black color, this uncovered portion of the leaf. So remember, so this here is the black sheet of paper and here is the uncovered part. This uncovered region shows the blue-black color. Why? That is the question. Blue-black color because the plants, they synthesize their food during photosynthesis and store that food in the form of starch. If starch is present, then the iodine solution will show blue-black color. If there is no starch, there is no color change. So in this experiment, only those portions that are uncovered can synthesize their food because only this region is getting sunlight. This region and this region only getting sunlight. They are green in color and that region are getting sunlight, so that portions only synthesize that starch, so that this uncovered part shows blue-black color. Then from this experiment, what we can conclude? We can conclude that the sunlight is essential for photosynthesis. From this experiment, we can conclude that sunlight is essential for photosynthesis. Now we can summarize the topics that we had discussed today. First, we discussed about what is nutrition, and in that we studied about the nutrients also and which are the components of food, etc. Then after that we studied about two types of nutrition, autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition. Autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition. Then we studied about autotrophic nutrition. In that autotrophic nutrition, in that we studied about photosynthesis and the events in photosynthesis. Then we studied about the raw materials needed for photosynthesis. Raw materials needed for photosynthesis. Then we studied about in desert plants, how photosynthesis occur in desert plants. And after that we studied about the stomata. In that, structure of stomata, function of stomata, etc. Then we studied about the structure and cross section of leaf. Then last we concluded with an experiment or an activity that shows that sunlight is essential for photosynthesis. So these are the main topics we covered in this video. And read the text very well. Repeatedly read the text, and all these points are in your textbook, and note the main points. Then write all the question answers that is given as homework. Then once again, Jai Hind to all and thank you.